Hey, it's Vanessa, the Crafty Gemini, and in this video, I'm sharing with you another tip that will help you when you're trying to sew clothes or follow a sewing pattern. And I'm also going to answer a question that I get asked all the time whenever I share a new sewing pattern. So this tip is to answer the question that I get asked all the time whenever I talk about a new sewing pattern. People are always like, oh, that looks really cute. Is it true to size? Does it fit true to size? Does Jali design true to size? So that statement and that whole question of being true to size, I want y'all to just throw it out the window. That doesn't even apply here when you're making your own clothes, because there really is no set standard, at least here in the US, that tells us this is exactly a size 10, this is a size 12. Everything is going to vary. Just like when you go to the store and buy different garments, one company you might fit in a size 8, another company you wear a 12, another company you wear a letter P. It can be numbers, letters, it doesn't matter. So what we want to stick to when we're sewing clothes is the actual true measurements. The numbers don't lie, y'all. Use your measuring tape, use your ruler. So here is the tip for those of you that are always asking, does this fit true to size? If you're gonna make the shirt, you make it fit how you want to fit. Okay, no such thing as true to size. So here's what I'm gonna show you on the pattern pieces for my daughter's size, because since they're smaller, I think they'll fit better in the camera angle. Here's the Michelle tank top that I've made for myself out of a rayon challis. Jali uses sizes that are letters. So in the Jali size, I cut out the size Z, as in zebra. My daughter's, I cut her the size L, okay? So you need to go by your body measurements, and then Jali recommends, okay, if your body measurements is this, cut out this size. You don't have to stick to that. If you wear looser garments, then you might want to size up, okay, so that it can fit you looser. But the way for you to check before you finish making the entire tank top and put it on and then say, oh, it's a little bit too loose, maybe I should have sized down, is to take the measurements of the actual pattern pieces. So let me show you how this will work. And here's like the sheet for the pattern pieces for this pattern. This is a new online course that I'm teaching right now. It's actually open for signups at the early bird sale price. So if you want to save 25 bucks on this course, use the link I've included for you in the description box below. The sale does end on Sunday, June 23rd, 2019 at midnight. If you're watching this video after that date, you can still sign up and learn how to make these projects. It will just be at the regular price, okay? So we're making 2 tank tops and a tank top dress. It comes in a hard copy pattern like this. We sell the pattern in our online shop, so I'll include a link there also for you in the description box. But you can see these lines that are all different colors. Each one represents a different size as far as the size chart that Jali calls those sizes, right? So in their case, they're letters. Each one of these lines corresponds to a different size. And there's no numbers here because their sizes are letters. So if I'm cutting out the size Z, I would come here to the size Z and trace off that piece for my pattern pieces. But you can see if the top is gonna fit you the way you want before you even trace out the pattern pieces, y'all. So do this step, very, very important. And this is how it would work, is that you would measure from the size that you think you're gonna cut out to the center back here. Let me show you on the actual pattern piece, because I think that will be helpful. So to make this tank top for my daughter, which I've made before, and I'll put a couple pictures of here of her wearing it here on the screen for you, I just need 2 pattern pieces. So it's a great, simple, quick, and easy make. I'm gonna walk you through every single step on how to make it in the online course. So if that's something you wanna be a part of, definitely click the link in the description box so you can sign up for the class, all right? All right, so for this pattern, this is the size for my daughter. I cut out the size L for her. This, when you see this fold line here that tells you to place this pattern piece on the fold, that means that you're gonna be cutting through folded up layers so that you get a symmetrical piece, mirror image. So this and this on the other side of that center fold. Now this pattern uses the same pattern piece for both the front and the back, but let me show you visually how that would work, okay? This is the center fold. So it's like this, and you cut it on the fold, so you end up cutting the other piece as well. Does that make sense? That's how you end up with the full front piece and the full back piece. All right, so all we need to do without having, say, the finished tank top in front of us is to measure this and determine how wide is this going to finish after we take in the seam allowances that are gonna get eaten up along the side seams, okay? So let's figure that out. First step is read your pattern and see what the seam allowance is for the side seam. There is no seam allowance here. Remember, we said this is cut on the fold. We don't have a seam running down the center of our shirt. It's just going to be you're cutting through 2 layers of fabric, so you get mirror image pieces that give you one full chunk that makes up the front of the shirt. So the seam is along the side. I know from making this pattern a billion times that the seam allowance on the side seam here is 3/8 of an inch. 3/8 of an inch is 1/8 inch smaller than 1/2 of an inch. So let's mark that down the whole side seam. So I'm lining up the edge of the pattern piece on 3/8, and I'm just gonna take this pen and mark 3/8. Why? Well, because that little bit there times 2, because there's a side seam on this side of your body, and there'll be another side seam on the other side of the front and the back of the body, is not included in the finished garment measurement, right? So if I need to measure how wide the tank top measures from here to here, I don't account for the seam allowance. That cannot be in there because the seam allowance is the chunk of fabric that gets eaten up basically from the cutout fabric pieces, because that's what holds the front together to the back piece of the garment. So garment sewing is really a lot of engineering. You cannot think that you can just follow a pattern and go through without understanding the how and why you're doing things, because then you're not going to be able to do simple things like this. You'll get to the point where you finish the garment and it doesn't fit, and then you're going to be discouraged and you're not going to want to waste time and money to make garments. So take this step, measure here. I've taken away 3/8 of an inch, all right? So now let me measure at the bottom edge, somewhere closer to the bottom, what this measures, and I'll show you what we'll do next. So from here to where my seam allowance gets eaten up, I'm about 9 inches and an eighth, all right? So 9 and an eighth inch, and I need to now determine, I want to figure out how wide is this tank top going to fit from edge to edge to see if it's going to fit over. And the reason that this would come in handy is if the pattern says it's loose fitting and you think, okay, in my head, loose fitting means one thing, but you make the top and then you realize it's actually what you would consider tight fitting. You can't just go by these kind of subjective descriptive words. Make the time to take the measurements, because again, the numbers do not lie. So if we have 9 and an eighth inch, that's only from the center, all right? So 9 and an eighth. If I go 9 and an eighth plus another 9 and an eighth, which is what I'm gonna get when I cut this fabric or cut this pattern on the fold, right? Now we've gone from this center fold to this outer side edge was 9 and an eighth, and now we're gonna go from here to the seam allowance line again, 9 and an eighth. So when we add that up, you're gonna get 18 and a quarter inches. So now the front, from side to side, right? Side seam to side seam on the front of my daughter's size from here to here is going to be that 18 and a quarter inches. Well, if you want to know the full circumference, right? At around the hemline, like to see if it'll fit over your jeans or your hips or whatever, what are you going to do? Well, this is only for the front. So we're going to multiply that by 2 to get the other measurement that runs along the back. And when we multiply that front measurement by 2, we're going to get 36 and a half inches. So now I know, without even cutting out fabric, that this little tank top, about an inch up from the hem, okay, because I just wanted to know kind of roughly where closer to the bottom it would reach, is going to measure 36 and a half inches around in circumference. Okay, and that way I can tell, well, if my daughter's hip measurements are only 26, she's going to have 10 inches of ease, so it's going to be kind of what I would consider loose fitting on her, right? At that measurement at the bottom. For you, if you measure, off of your pattern pieces that you're going to make out of this pattern, and it's 44, and you know that your hips are 47, then before you start cutting into your fabric, you better go back here and check to the pattern size chart. You would find the one that has the finished hip measurement that you like, go up and see, is that giving me a size that's way too big in my bust? And then that's how you would figure out what size you need to pick at the bust, then go grading out at the waist and then the hips. But these are all things that I will cover more in depth in my online video course for the new Michelle Jolie 3911 tank top. If you want to learn more and you like these kinds of tips videos and you want to sign up for my video online course at the early bird sale price that's still running right now, use the link in the description box below. All right, so there you have it. I hope that this video helps you the next time you're trying to decide what size pattern to cut out of a specific sewing pattern that you're trying out maybe for the first time. Don't be afraid to take the actual measurements of the pattern pieces because after all, we are using those as templates to cut them out of fabric. So measure the pattern pieces first and then decide on the sizing from there. Now, if you want to sign up for my latest online course for the Michelle tanks and tank top dress that has pockets, use the link I've included for you in the description box below. You can head over, sign up for the video course while it's still at the early bird sale price. Now the sale price is gonna go up by $25 on Sunday, June 23rd at 11:59 p.m. If you get in on this after that date or you're watching this video after that date, you can still sign up for the class. It will just be at the regular price, which I still think is a great value. Now, the link, all the details are included for you below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more from me, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Thanks again for watching and I will see you in the next one.